pretty smelly over here, and it's been stinky for about the last 10 minutes.
Hello, how are you?
Seek and Destroy, Warthunder's big new summer update. From the name and promotional material alone, you probably have a pretty good idea of what it's about. Yep, you guessed it.
Anyways, the rats are doing their thing. They're doing their little rat social things.
This update includes 4 brand new ground vehicles which many, myself included, would consider to be rats. Now I know what you're thinking, only 4 rats? Surely that can't be enough for an entire video. That's like a BLT without tomatoes. Or for my British audience, jellied eels without a crushing sense of despair and lack of direction in life. Anyways, to make up for the short roster and give you guys more media to slurp on, I'll be giving each of these vehicles a lot more attention than I normally would. In part because while the rats listed in my previous videos were well known, these vehicles are new for everyone. Even so, you should probably think of this more as an episode 2.5 instead of a whole new installment. With that out of the way, it is time to rat for a third time. Starting off, this is the USH-204GK. It's a Swedish SPAA vehicle located at BR 5.3. It's small, fast, has armor thinner than my math teacher's hairline, and a roof-mounted 20mm autocannon. Sound familiar? It should, because it's basically a deformed R3T20. It's okay, having a top speed of around 80 km per hour and decent enough maneuverability. However, that's where the positives end. In addition to its paper-thin armor, it's only got 2 crew members, which leaves you incredibly susceptible to machine guns, since if either one of them dies, your entire vehicle shits itself to death. On top of all that, the turret traverse speed is tragically slow, and even with armor-piercing ammo, the 20mm cannon is comically ineffective against most of the armor in its BR. The only way it's going to do any sort of damage is if you're within spitting distance of your target and are aiming at an almost flat angle. Even then, the chances are still pretty high that your rounds don't penetrate. Now hearing all that, you're probably thinking this is a pretty terrible vehicle, and you'd be right. However, there is a way to make it somewhat effective. Try and find a particularly clueless target with somewhat thin armor or an obvious weak point. Once you've decided who to victimize, absolutely gun it towards them until you're at point-blank range. Then unload on them like you're a female police officer at a traffic stop. All in all, it can be good. However, the amount of effort needed for results is pretty off-putting. Moving on, we have the Desert Warrior. Add another S to that and you have what the bullies called me in middle school. It's a British infantry fighting vehicle located at BR 10.0 that I personally think is pretty neat. It's armed with a 25mm Bushmaster cannon and 2 tow rocket launchers with a total of 12 missiles, or in other words, enough to notify the ISS when you get taken out. By far my favorite part of this vehicle is the cannon. Something about lobbing several depleted uranium rounds per second at unsuspecting targets just fills me with joy. On top of that are the aforementioned tow missiles, which I like for the most part, however they're a bit inconsistent. On the one hand, I'll sometimes panic fling one at point-blank range towards an MBT I stumbled into and get a one-tap. Other times, I'll carefully line up a shot with a BMP that's sitting completely still and out of cover, only for it to eat the tow and then send a round clean through the frontal armor and into my driver's ribcage. However, the biggest issue with the Desert Warrior is that it suffers from the same issue as most other IFVs: obesity. It's almost as big as an MBT, yet it's sluggish and lacks armor. Because of this, you're a prime target for pretty much anything that sees you, including your natural predator, friendly A-10s.
Oh, great heavens!
So to summarize, the Desert Warrior's weapons are pretty good, but its lack of mobility and general girthiness hold it back significantly. E-tier. Next up is one of the all-around best rats that I've ever used in Warthunder, the XM800T. It's an American armored scout vehicle at BR 7.7, and it's essentially a mini Bradley. It is incredibly good. It's armed with a 20mm autocannon that has a very high rate of fire and armor-piercing rounds capable of punching holes in most of the tanks at its BR. Now, the gun alone makes this vehicle great, but the cherry on top is its maneuverability. The XM800 is very fast and can turn on a dime. Also, its turret traverse is lightning quick. Combine that with the fact that it's only slightly larger than an R3 and you have what some might consider to be the new best rat in the game. And even though its armor is really light, it's just thick enough to prevent you from getting waffle stomped by somebody with a Browning. That isn't to say that hit and run is the only thing this vehicle's good at, otherwise it wouldn't sit so high on this list. Much like duct tape or horse tranquilizers, you can use this thing to good effect in pretty much any situation. If zooming around like a spurg isn't your thing, you can instead use the XM800's speed to quickly get to a sniping position. Once you're there, just go into barnacle mode and wait for enemies to enter your line of sight, and then give them the full Tupac experience. So to summarize, the XM800T is a Swiss Army knife in rat form. Only it's American, so it's even better. S tier. You know what else is versatile and works in almost any situation? My new mug! Look at it! It has my face on it. It also has funny text. Inside jokes only Mr. Bucket fans will understand. I drew this picture. Fill it with coffee. Fill it with tea. Fill it with anything you please. And if you don't need a mug, you're wrong. But also, you're in luck, because I sell stickers, and shirts, and a hoodie, and shirts. Look at them, they're beautiful. The products are very, very high quality. You should buy them right now. Buy them or I'm gonna break into your house, and I'm gonna bust your kneecaps with a lead pipe, and I'll steal your cottage cheese, and I'm gonna dump it into my mug. I'm gonna eat it out of my mug while I stare into your eyes as you writhe in pain. Buy it! Buy it now! It's linked in the description below down the video, and while you're down there, go ahead and like and subscribe. Yeah. But getting back to it, we have reached the peak of this episode's rat pile. The Chinese CSL-92. It's a light SPAA vehicle located at BR 6.7, and oh boy, is it a great rat. If I had to pick two words to describe the CSL-92, they would be evil and shitcan. Now looking at it, you're probably baffled as to why I think it's such a great rat vehicle. Frankly, I don't blame you. Firstly, this thing is incredibly large, being double the height and longer than most of the tanks at its BR. On top of that, its main gun is a 25mm autocannon with pretty terrible armor-piercing rounds, which sounds bad enough on its own until you remember that BR 7.0 is completely stuffed with heavy tanks. However, looks can be deceiving. What makes this vehicle great is its exceptional maneuverability and acceleration. You can run circles around tanks and confuse entire enemy teams with your antics. Imagine a vehicle specifically designed to do nothing but serial drive-bys. It's not too good at getting kills, but it's extraordinarily effective at raising the blood pressure of your opponents. You can essentially eat most incoming rounds, secure in the knowledge that they'll pass clean through one side of your vehicle and out the other, without hitting anything vital in between. So unless your enemy knows exactly where to aim, they'll likely hit nothing but air. Just like a crackhead shadowboxing outside of a 7-Eleven. Imagine the anger and frustration your enemies will feel when they literally turn this thing into a colander, only for it to keep scampering about, all while spraying down anything it sees with its 25mm shit hose. So to summarize, it's basically an unkillable Chinese dumpster that happens to have an autocannon bolted on top. S tier. Well, that's it for this episode. If you have any video or rat suggestions, leave them in the comments down below. Also, I'm nearly at 10,000 subscribers, and when I hit that magic number, I'm going to be giving away 10,000 golden eagles. If you want to enter the giveaway, like, subscribe, join my Discord server, and leave a comment that includes the phrase, "My chair smells like farts." Okay, goodbye.